Hey everyone, it's it's just me tonight. Matt had something come up. He's not able to make it, so he asked me if I could do the show myself. So it's going to be a little awkward. It's always a little more uh, flowing of a conversation and back and forth when you've got someone else to play off of and have someone to turn it over to while you look something up or check in chat and talk with everyone in there. But definitely appreciate everyone for coming in, showing up for the show. Um, we've got several different things to talk about this evening. Let me drag this screen over here so I can look at it while I'm talking to you guys instead of looking away the whole time. We've got the left wing media that obviously can't be satisfied with anything. They're they're now upset that Trump is not spending taxpayer money on the ballroom that is being built at the White House. They're upset that donors are paying for it. So you can't win for losing with some of this stuff. Um, the FBI has thwarted a planned terror attack in Michigan that was plotted to take place over Halloween, and you'll never guess the usual suspects that have been detained with this. It's exactly who you would expect it to be. Hey Troy, thanks for showing up, man. Appreciate it. And again, I'll call out when you guys are talking in chat, but I may not do the replying in chat because I can't walk and chew bubble gum at the same time. Um, but yeah, so there's this terror attack was thwarted. We'll talk about that, kind of how it came about and what they found and how they kind of uncovered what was going on. It's an interesting story. Also, a lot of the Democrats with the government being shut down and the Republicans talking about, look, we don't need to be funding all of these programs for illegal aliens and everything else. And the Democrats are just they're adamant there are no illegal aliens that are on these welfare, these benefits, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, nothing. That's right wing talking point. Well, the White House has come out and released. They've put up a web page, and it has just list after list. There's four people per row, and it goes on. There's, geez, probably at least 100, 150, maybe just snapshot mugshots of these illegal aliens, the crimes they've committed, and all of these are ones that are just receiving Medicaid. That's all. No other benefits. Just Medicaid is what is, or these guys here. So we'll look at that. And you look at some of the crimes these people are either guilty of or accused of. It's amazing that these are the people the Democrats are fighting tooth and nail and have basically shut the government down in order to keep them here to continue providing these benefits. One of the things we were talking about a few weeks ago, the story broke about James Comey, and they were looking at charges against him. He was I think he'd been referred to. I don't remember if it was referred to a grand jury. Referred to the DOJ for prosecution. I think it's what it was. Well, of course, everybody came out. The Democrats, the usual talking points about how it's uh, Trump's weaponizing the DOJ, all of this. Well, it comes to find out they've now found messages where Comey was basically caught red-handed with a proverbial smoking gun, with him, coordinating the leaking of information to the press. Just the whole thing, everything he just stood up in front of Congress and was adamant he had nothing to do with it. It wasn't him. Well, guess what? In some of these these notes they found are literally in his own hand, like his own handwriting. Not he wrote an email, not it came from his account. These are notes that this dumbass took on FBI letterhead paper in his own handwriting. But him being prosecuted for that is the Trump weaponizing the DOJ. It's ridiculous. And the this other judge here, this Judge Boasberg, he has been, I don't know, they're supposed to hand out these cases round robin style where no one's, getting specific cases or dealing with specific things or anything else. But this dude here, every time a freaking rock gets turned over, it's this lurch looking dude underneath it. He was involved in signing off for warrants, subpoenas for for the phone records of congressional members from January 4th to January 7th as part of a secret investigation into January 6th. And we'll talk about this and the issues that brings up. It's I don't know how this dude stays involved in all this, how he just manages to, get every single thing to do with Trump. It's amazing. We're going to look Illinois, and we've talked about Pritzker, and it looks like they're continuing to push their effort to prosecute ICE agents and that such whenever it comes to basically them enforcing federal law in the United States. We're going to talk about that. The bill that just recently passed the Illinois General Assembly. We'll look at that and discuss it. Well, I would say it's probably not going to go far, but I guess that all depends on what judge it gets in front of. It gets in front of this Boasberg guy, he'll probably, add a couple of paragraphs to the end of it and, make it worse than what it was going in. And the last two stories we have kind of go hand in hand with each other. There's a school in Maryland that's already been smacked down by the Supreme Court with their pushing of trans ideology on the kids, and they're back at it again. And we also have a Maine school board member that is pretty much adamant that if you're worried about boys playing in girls' sports, you must be a pedophile. So yeah, that's their take on everything. You can't make sense of it. You can't make it make sense. There's no logic to it. It's all just it's whatever they make it, whatever they want it to be, whatever they make it up as. It just doesn't make sense. So those are the stories we have. We're going to talk about. I guess I can, since Matt isn't here to toss in with his expertise on some of them, I can just start on the left side of my tabs here and work my way down to the end. And if you guys have anything on these, pop in. Matt isn't here to bounce things off against. If you guys have comments, toss them up in the chat, and we'll bring them as part of the show as we always do. Let me get my screen up here. Add this. So this is the first one I was talking about with the left-wing media being just, oops, I can't do that because I'm sharing that whole screen. Okay. So with the left-wing media basically attacking Trump because there are donors, American citizens, businessmen, whatever, who have donated to build this ballroom at the White House. And there's a group founded by Ralph Nader called it's a consumer advocacy organization called Public Citizen. They're actively engaged in legal challenges against the administration, go figure, which includes a suit concerning the Department of Government Efficiency. They produced a report reviewing the known contributors to the currently $300 million project, that being the ballroom. The report suggests the donations to the ballroom could be an attempt to curry favor with the administration. 2/3 of the 24 known corporate donors have recent government contracts totaling $279 billion over the past 5 years. All right, so let's just dissect this real quick. They're donating to Trump to curry favor, and 2/3 of them have recent government contracts for projects over the last 5 years. Well, if I'm correct, Trump's only been president for 10 months. So the last 4 years and 2 months of that 5 years was Biden who was giving out those contracts. And you notice how whenever they're donating to the White House to build something, to construct something for the nation, for future presidents, for future not just public political when they have other countries come over and they have these affairs of state type deals, well, that's a problem. But people donating money directly to a campaign in order to get that person elected, there's no problem with that. With these people that were donating to the Clinton Foundation whenever Hillary was running for president, all the way up until the point that she lost and all the donations dried up and the foundation basically had to be shuttered. I'm sure there's still people making, 6-figure salaries shuffling their dirty money around, but there's no problem with that. That's fine. But when these people are donating to build something for the country, all of a sudden now, well, that's currying favor. That's dirty politics. There's a problem with that. And of course, there's here this statement from this Public Citizen Foundation, which again, I love how they're able to see into the hearts of men and just suss out their reason for doing things and their rationale and their deepest and darkest thoughts. But these giant corporations are funding the Trump ballroom debacle. Yeah, no agenda there. Out of a sense of civic pride, they have massive interests before the federal government, and they undoubtedly hope to curry favor. Again, just like everyone that donated to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to get them elected, they were currying favor. Do you really think that they don't know who was showing up at these $25,000 a plate dinners? They know exactly who they are. That's what they're doing. They're currying favor. That's what all of the people that show up on Capitol Hill, and they're lobbying these lawmakers. And these lawmakers don't become millionaires in a few short years on a $150,000 a year salary by accident. It's all currying favor. But when it's a Republican or when it's Trump, there's something scandalous about it. And this had pointed out the report specified that the billions of dollars in contracts spanned the administration of then President Joe Biden, and more broadly, government contracts are not inherently corrupt. Again, they're hiring people to do things the government doesn't have the expertise on hand to do. It just like this one makes sense. Like government contracts, doing things the government is incapable of doing, like hiring a roofer if you don't know how to do your own roof. It's what it is. But again, whenever Trump wants to do anything, they're going to find any reason whatsoever to ridicule something that President Trump is doing. If Trump cured cancer, the headline would be Trump contributes to global food shortage. It would be it, because now all these people aren't dying. You can't win. There's no point in trying to win. The politicians that continue to go on to these shows with MSNBC and all these people and try and curry their favor. It's ridiculous. It's it's like the battered wife syndrome. They keep going back to them, hoping they'll be treated better next time, and they just continue to get the shit kicked out of them, and they don't understand why. And it's again, these people don't like you. These these people, well, actually, probably a little more visceral than don't like. These people hate you. They would not shed a tear if you died. And like Charlie Kirk, they'd probably celebrate it, dance in the streets and throw parties and try and disrupt the memorials that people were having just because they don't care. They're dead inside, and there's nothing sacred to them whatsoever. The only thing sacred to them is themselves, and whatever they have been told the agenda of the day is, that is what they're going after. And I was talking with someone the other day. We were talking about, especially with the holidays coming up, how there are families that have been, just torn apart by politics. And my friend made the comment, he's like, I just can't understand how people would do that. And my thought process on that was, when you've got some of these people and they make their politics, they make their sexuality, they make their gender, they make their whatever, their whole identity, that becomes who they are. That's all it is. That is their identity. They are liberal, they are gay, they are trans, they are bi, and that encompasses their whole life. Well, to them, if you don't agree with them, or if you don't, if you don't go along with them and give them just unfettered support, then you're dismissing them as a person. Because to them, if you don't agree with what they've made their whole identity, and you don't think that whatever that is should be a thing, then to them, you don't think they should be. And I really think that's what drives a lot of this, is they have nothing else in their life but whatever that component is. And if you dismiss that, if you don't agree with it, if you whatever, then you don't think that they as a person should be. And that's the only way I can figure it. I don't have the words in front of me. I can be eloquent when I'm not trying to, but when I'm trying to explain something, I lose words. But that's the way I look at it. So whenever you tell somebody, oh, well, I don't think they should be teaching trans ideology in school, and that person happens to be trans, well, you don't think you should be telling them I exist? You shouldn't be teaching that there are people like me that exist? It encompasses everything. It becomes their identity, and if you don't agree with it. And the other part was how at one point it was a whole live and let live. You do your thing, I do mine, and we just pretend the other one isn't there. Well, then it was, oh, well, you need to be an ally. You need to support it. And if you don't, if you just, like you said, still want to go back to that live and let live, well, now that's the whole silence is violence. If you don't agree with it, then you must disagree. And it's a no-win. It turns into, unless you fully advocate for whatever it is that I believe in, then you don't think I should exist. And you can't have a rational conversation at that point, because you're not discussing a topic. It becomes a personal attack to that person, whether it was intended to be or not. And exactly, Freedom, is like, whatever happened having spirited conversations. And I think that's exactly it. You can't have the spirited conversation, because if you disagree with what they have made their whole identity and their whole self, then you're disagreeing with their personhood, I guess, is the best term, is that's what you're disagreeing with. And they can't function with that. They can't separate themselves from the conversation and look at it, objectively, without putting their personal preference, their personal feelings, their whatever into it. So it always turns into, emotional black of a of an exchange, and nothing's ever gained. It becomes a back and forth where people are talking over each other, and then the table's flipped over, Thanksgiving's ruined, and it just turns into a whole thing. But I'm shit. See, I got derailed, and Matt isn't even here. I can't even blame him for that one. That one was all me. But the next story that we have here was the one I was telling you. Crap, I keep trying to move it and I can't because I don't like looking away when I'm talking. But let me see if I can get it up here and expand this to where I can read it on the screen here. Here we go. So we have two Detroit men that have been arrested for plotting a possible terror attack. And I like how the story starts with two Detroit men. And when you scroll down to the next sentence, Muhammad Ali and Majed Mahood, both 20, accused of planning to use AR-style rifles, shotguns, and handguns to commit terror and provide support to ISIS. So these guys planned on carrying out an attack and actually sought guidance from the father of a local Islamic extremist as to when to conduct the attack. And it sounds like what happened, and well, according to the FBI, these two are part of a larger group of ISIS supporters who, besides buying weapons and planning terror attacks, also held gun training exercises and scouted out potential terror targets. So there may be more to come than just these two guys here, especially if, the FBI knows there's another group around and there are more people involved in it. It looks like the area that they were scouting was a known party area with bars and restaurants and that sort of thing. A big area with a lot of nightlife. I think somewhere I read that there were some of the establishments catered. Yeah, some of the establishments catered to the LGBTQ community. So it looks like that's kind of what they were doing. I think it was down in Florida. Wasn't that the nightclub that was attacked down there? That was the same with where they attacked the gay nightclub. It looks like what they were trying to do here. And one of the other things looks like where they got it. Customs and Border Patrol stopped and searched a Dearborn man. It doesn't say who this is. It doesn't say that it was one of the two guys that they arrested. So this could be a third person. On August of last year, after he returned from an overseas visit, the man's cell phone raised red flags. Agents found Google searches related to ISIS in the Islamic State and photos of him wearing military-style clothing and weapons. So the FBI launched an investigation with undercover informants to talk with this guy and other people through an encrypted group chat, probably WhatsApp. That seems to be the go-to method for them to communicate. And through investigating this guy, they found out about these other two and their plans. But this is what's going on, and this is out of Dearborn, which is a huge Islamic presence. I think the mayor's Muslim. I mean, it's the city is a Muslim enclave at this point that have basically moved in and claimed the city. It's a huge huge presence there with the mosques, I believe, that are doing the call to prayer over the loudspeaker 5 times a day. Um, all of that. So that's what's um that's what's going on in Dearborn. That's what's bringing us Dearborn. Are people that live in our country that hate it so much they're going to engage in terror attacks against people that they disagree with. And yeah, Freedom's got a good point here. He says generations are being raised without the ability to critically think and be supported in doing so. And that is very true. You watch a lot of there are a lot of people that are, and maybe they're hitting a little bit of the YouTube algorithm or whatever's with people going in and re, getting caught up on a lot of Charlie Kirk stuff and that sort of thing. But you listen to some of these people that get up on the microphone to ask these questions or kind of challenge whoever the presenter is, and they don't really have, I'd say probably 8 out of 10 of them. A couple of them will have, a little bit deeper knowledge, but 8 out of 10 of them really have no idea beyond whatever talking point it is that they've been given, what they've been told. It really goes no deeper than that. And that's to the exact point that Freedom made. They're not being taught to critically think. They're being taught to just trust me, bro. And that's what it turns into. There's no critical thinking. There's no, okay, well, here's what you're being told. Go research it. Find information on one side of it, find information on the other side of it, and put it together. And what do you come up with? Because there's your side of the story, there's my side of the story, and somewhere in the middle is the truth. And that goes with the majority of things. I mean, even when you're looking at where you get your news, most news right now is really biased to the left. Even things, outlets that used to be more right-leaning, like Fox News and some publications, even they've, slowly drifted to the left in what they do and how they report things. There's still some places you can find online that I wouldn't necessarily, well, maybe I was going to say they're not necessarily giving you news from the right wing perspective. They're just giving you the truth. But I guess that kind of does go hand in hand. If you're giving the right wing perspective, you're pretty much giving the truth without the whole bunch of spin and everything on it. But this was the favorite story I came up with. This one here, the one that I found about all the Democrats that are talking about how none of these, there are no illegal aliens on any of these programs, none of these entitlements. They just don't get them. It's impossible for it to happen. So the White House, if you look up at the URL, or if you're on your phone or just listening, is literally whitehouse.gov/criminals. And this is literally a criminal aliens receiving taxpayer funded Medicaid. And I found this on my phone, and I started scrolling, and it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I was literally wondering if I was going to reach the end of the page or if it was just going to continue until the end of the internet. But if you scroll down here, these are all criminal illegal aliens that have been arrested. And again, let me go back. Criminal illegal aliens, as in ones that have committed crimes other than the crime of entering the country illegally. We're all on Medicaid. And you start scrolling down here, attempted murder, arrested for murder, breaking and entering, robbery, grand theft auto. Go down the next row, battery, sexual battery, DUI, rape by force. Next line, assault with a deadly weapon, battery against a police officer, corporal injury on spouse, assault, harassment, robbery. Next line, rape, DUI, aggravated assault, controlled substances, assault with a deadly weapon. Next line, assault and forgery, grand theft auto, rape, sexual assault, manslaughter, battery. It just goes and it goes and it goes. And we can just keep scrolling. None of these are repeating. None of these are up there for a second or third time. We just keep going and keep going and more and more and more. And well, that's all for today, folks. But this is what, and as Matt and I have said time and time and time again, this is who the Democrats fight tooth and nail to keep into this country, petition these judges to prevent Trump from deporting them. They want these people in your communities. I don't understand it. The only thing that it could be for is for destabilization. You know, we've talked before, whenever you've got, and you know, Matt was a police officer, he can tell you, the crime in a community is committed by the same people. It's the same handful of people that are committing the vast majority of the crime in an area. The police know who they are. And it's amazing how whenever something does trigger and it does get in front of the population at large, and the rap sheets come out, and you realize that in the past 8 years, this person was arrested 42 times and let out with no bond, with no ankle monitor, with no whatever. And again, continuing to commit crimes and continuing to come before a judge and continuing to be released, all while they're out for other crimes. It's not like, oh, well, this is, we let you out for this attempted robbery, and then you come back in front of me for assault and we let you out. And then you come back in front of me for all this while they're out on the, you know, attempted robbery charge. They continue to commit crimes and continue to be released. And you go back to the vaunted Maryland man and the hoops and the contortion that they were putting through to make him just this upstanding, you know, love apple pie and baseball, and you know, just ignore the MS-13 coded tattoos on his knuckles. Ignore the restraining order his wife had gotten against him for, you know, beating the crap out of her. You know, no, we're not going to talk about that. And if you do bring it up, you're just racist. You can't talk about that. That doesn't apply here. But these are the ones. So the Democrats are talking about there's no illegal aliens getting entitlements and benefits or anything like that. Well, if these people are on Medicaid, why would they not be on anything else? Why stop at Medicaid? I don't get it. But, you know, all these people from Egypt, Mexico, Nicaragua, Cambodia, Guatemala, you know, England, El Salvador, Somalia, Thailand, you know, they're from all over. These aren't just from, the majority of them are from Mexico because that's, you know, right next door, but they're from all over. Bhutan, I don't even know where that is. Bhutan, maybe over around, Thailand, that area, maybe, never heard of it. Panama, Nigeria, you know, all of them, El Salvador, Cambodia. And guarantee you, Biden didn't fly them in. They came in through the southern border in the past, 5 years during the Biden administration before Trump shut the border down. But that's who they want in. That's who they let in. And when Trump says, oh, yeah, their best and their brightest aren't coming over, and he is, eviscerated in the media, this is who he's talking about. It's not rocket science. It just, the media wants to make it something that it is not. And we all know that. It's the the fake indignity, the clutching of pearls, the oh, how dare he? No, this is what he's talking about. Trump was he's not playing the politics with it. He's not beating around the bush with it. These here are the people that he's talking about that are here illegally, that shouldn't be here, that are a drain on society, that victimize US citizens, and that the Democrats want to be here. This is them. This is who they want here. And whenever you talk about this is who's coming over, well, then you're being told you're a racist. But I really like this. I love for the fact that it's on the White House, the whitehouse.com/ criminals. It's awesome. It's really kind of just puts the nail in the coffin of the Democrat talking point of there are no illegals on welfare. There are no illegals on Medicaid. Yeah, there's about 100 of them right here. I never counted, but we've got 4, 8. Yeah, there's probably about 100 on this page. I would guesstimate, but that's a good one. The next one we have is James Comey, the our former FBI director that likes to take long walks on the beach and just stumble across seashells spelling out 8647 and just be curious as to what that means. And as a law enforcement officer, and just has no idea what this code means, and just has to post it on his reels for his followers to pontificate with him the meaning of life on the beach that has been revealed to him by a higher power. Well, it's apparently we all knew he was lying. None of this is a surprise to anyone here on the show. We've seen him in front of Congress. We knew he was lying then. We know he's lying now. But the thing is, it's literally in his own hand. Let's see, I'll right here. These are his notes right here. And again, I can't read his chicken scratch, but HRC, I'm sure that's Hillary Rodham Clinton. But he's talking about stuff. There's something New York Times. I haven't tried to blow this up to read it, but it's part of what they're posting here. But he was in front of Congress. He came out. He had nothing to do with the leaking of information to the press. He knew nothing about it. Wasn't him. Nothing to see here. Move on along. But you get down here, and it says federal prosecutors revealed Monday they've unearthed a trove of personal emails showing Director Comey openly talked in the days before the 2016 election that he expected to be working soon for President Hillary Clinton and was being kept apprised by a top FBI aide on efforts to anonymously provide information to the news media. This right here, exactly what he said. He had no idea what was going on. He had nothing to do with it. And it was not him. It was somebody else. And right here, the DOJ argued that emails proved that Comey knew about the leaking, authorized it, and yet testified otherwise. Halligan's filing said the email showed Comey was aware of and encouraging Richmond's contact with the media, contrary to his claims to Congress. Consistent with the above described correspondence, Richmond corresponded extensively with members of the media regarding or on behalf of the defendant, which is Comey, including in an anonymous capacity, is what the DOJ is arguing. So, of course, Comey has come out and saying, through a mix of news reports, social media posts, and speculation, the defendant weaves a tale of what he calls glaring constitutional violations that resulted in his indictment. for making a false statement to Congress and obstructing congressional investigation. So he's he's basically has glaring constitutional violations that point out the fact he lied and he broke the law in doing so. That's just it's amazing how it's the main Democrat talking point. It never happened. Well, it might have happened, but if it did, it's not a big deal. Well, it's not a big deal, so why even care about it? It might as well have not even happened because it's just such not a big deal. It's the constant lying, diminishing, and gaslighting of the Democrats that it's what we have here. He has stood up on his soapbox for years, talking about how everyone was attacking him, everyone's going after him. He didn't do anything wrong, and then you literally come up with, in his own literal handwriting, and then it's, oh well, no, that's obvious constitutional violations. Let me see. Okay, it doesn't actually break down what this has here. If I took the time and made this bigger, I could probably decipher some of this, but I don't care that much about it. It's just the fact that they have found so much now that directly contradicts what he was saying and what he was testifying to in front of Congress. So we'll see. Maybe something will happen. I know Matt's of the mindset and the belief that he'll wind up in jail. I would say I'm cautiously optimistic, but I guess I'm realistically pessimistic. I hope that he does. It's what needs to happen. They always seem to find a way out of it, and it's gotten very disheartening, but I'm really hoping something does happen. And yeah, Troy, he is one of them. He's one of them dindus. He didn't do nothing. It was somebody else, not his fault. They were hiding information from him. The head of the FBI, the premier law enforcement agency of the most powerful nation on the face of the planet, and he didn't know. Nobody told him. I mean, I'm glad we've got our top men on this stuff here. It's a really, really good thing. This guy here, Judge Boasberg, he's been involved in pretty much every Trump lawsuit that has been brought. It's amazing how it happens. I don't understand it. It's supposed to be a round robin deal. I don't know who's stacking the deck, but this dude's name and mug seems to be turning up constantly. So with this, apparently, they went to this guy here. The Biden DOJ goes to this guy to get him to sign a subpoena, searching for phone records from January 4th through 7th as part of the investigation into January 6th and Trump challenging the election results. Now, the thing is, this may have violated federal law, because you get down here, Boasberg justified his secrecy order by claiming that disclosure could result in destruction of or tampering with evidence. All right. Now, here's the thing. This subpoena went to the telephone companies. From what I've seen, this one didn't go to the senators themselves, because when you get down, we'll look at that in a second. But so he justified this by claiming that disclosure could result in destruction of or tampering with evidence. What this former chief counsel of Mitch McConnell said, The orders may have violated federal law protecting congressional communications. If Smith, who was the one of the DOJ that went for this subpoena, or Boasberg violated that statute, it's a very serious problem that probably justifies a Barr investigation and could predicate an impeachment inquiry. Now, that sounds good, but we've talked about this before for these federal judges. The requirement to impeach one of these judges is the same voting requirement that it is to impeach the president of the United States. And I can understand that there needs to be a level of protection for these judges because they're going to have to do things that is not popular. And when you're on the federal bench and you're getting this stuff, anything you do is going to piss off the other side. So they do need some level of freedom of movement without repercussions to do their job. But when it gets to this point here, when they're blatantly and flagrantly breaking the law, and you can't do anything about it because it's a Democrat appointed judge and they're not going to vote for it. That's the only reason. There's got to be another way around it. There's got to be another way to hold these people accountable. But federal law explicitly prohibits any court order that prevents Senate offices from being notified of subpoenas seeking disclosure of official communications. And someone had posted, it was a Heritage Foundation vice president. He said, here's a safe bet. All of the legal ethics experts trotted out on CNN who mercilessly hounded Jeff Clark and John Eastman for giving legal advice around January 6th will be MIA on the issue of the proper discipline for actual defiance of a federal statute by a biased anti-Trump judge. And you're absolutely right. There'll be nobody out there banging the drum on this because it serves their interest. And the thing down here, what I was talking about, how he was saying that, he had to keep it secret because it would be tampering with evidence. It went directly to AT&T. It went directly to the providers. Now, AT&T confirmed it refused to comply with Smith's demands. And this is even better. When AT&T raised questions with the special counsel's office concerning the legal basis for seeking records of members of Congress, the special counsel did not pursue the subpoena further and no records were produced. So it looks like AT&T pushed back and says, wait a minute, this is bullshit. We can't do this. And they just dropped it because they knew they were in the wrong. Verizon, however, said it complied because the subpoena was valid, although it plans to review its procedures. So Verizon rolled over and ponied up the info. AT&T pushed back. So kind of glad I switched over to AT&T a couple of years ago. But that's what's happened. And maybe there will be accountability. I don't know what they can do other than, pound the podium and make noise about it. Because again, like we said, for the impeachment, was it 2/3 of the of both chambers, I think is what it is. I forget exactly, but it's not a low bar to get over. We've talked about Illinois, I think, seems to be coming up every single show with Pritzker just doing everything he can to appear to be relevant. So the Illinois General Assembly have passed a bill that will provide sanctuary to illegal aliens in courthouses and give them a right to sue the federal agents who arrest them. Pritzker, who believes federal immigration other agents are Gestapo stormtroopers and vows to prosecute them, will most certainly sign the bill as soon as it hits his desk. That's obviously the opinion of the person who wrote the article. They're saying here the DOJ will likely sue to overturn the bill under the Constitution's Supremacy Clause. As we said, that may or may not go anywhere depending on the judge. And right here, a federal judge appointed by Biden dismissed the department's lawsuit to overturn Chicago and Illinois sanctuary statutes. So these cities and states are passing statutes to say they will not comply with federal law, and judges are dismissing the lawsuits by the federal government to force them to comply, even though literally in the Constitution has the Supremacy Clause. And you can't get rid of these judges. And Freedom, Freedom, I feel you, man. Freedom says, I'm hoping for a miracle. The military swoops in and arrests the politicians and judges who don't follow the Constitution. Well, the good thing is if they did that, we'd have a whole lot of job openings up in D.C. There'd be a ton of those open up. Man, I never realized how talking for an hour straight will voice starts getting scratchy and itchy. But this is what we have here. And this is the kind of the gist of the bill. Under the bill, civil immigration arrest would be barred inside of state courthouses and within 1,000-foot buffer zone outside of the building. All right. 1,300 feet is a quarter mile. So they're saying that basically within a quarter mile of this building, they cannot be arrested. So at the time somebody's leaving that building, they're in a vehicle. So now it becomes a potential eluding the police in a multi-ton vehicle barreling down the streets. So it says, though there had long been a de facto understanding that such were off limits for immigration enforcement, they have increasingly been the site of apprehension of the past year. Those who violate the act would face statutory damages of $10,000. The bill also allows Illinois residents, not U.S. citizens, Illinois residents to sue immigration agents, so the agents themselves, for violating their constitutional rights. They would be able to collect punitive damages, which can be increased if the agents are wearing a mask, concealing their identity, failing to wear a body cam, or using a vehicle with a non-Illinois or obscured license plate. So they're just making up what random shit can we throw in here to do. Really? They can collect punitive damages if they're using a vehicle that doesn't have an Illinois license plate? And why are the agents wearing a mask and concealing their identity? Because we just talked about Beetlejuice last week making a database of all of these people. And we're sure that database won't be used for anything nefarious. Not at all. Because by it's the Democrats doing it. Nothing will be leaked. Nothing nefarious to see here. But, and again, the favorite part is this. This bill is a reaction to the Operation Midway Blitz, which we talked about last week, during which agents have so far arrested some 3,000 illegals. So, in response to arresting 3,000 illegals, we're going to pass a bill to sue the people that are arresting the people that are here illegally. The favorite part is this last statement here. Amusingly, Governor Pritzker inadvertently admitted that the state is harboring illegal alien criminals. The governor said that 60% of the illegals arrested in Illinois this year have no criminal convictions of any kind. All right? Let's look at that again. 60% of the ones arrested have no criminal convictions of any kind. Well, if that's true, then 1,200 of those arrested in Chicago do have a criminal record. So, right there, 40% of the ones arrested have an active criminal record, and we're not sure of that remaining 60%. How many have charges? They may not have been convicted. How many have charges? How many have been arrested and are waiting to go to trial? How many have been arrested and the DA dismissed charges because they didn't want to prosecute? We don't have that. So, well, freedom, obviously you can be selective in which laws you want to follow, as long as you're a Democrat or live in a Democratic controlled city. But I think Chicago and Illinois are going to continue to be a reoccurring. We might as well just set aside 15 minutes of each show to discuss the lunacy coming out of Illinois, because it seems to be on the regular. The last two stories really kind of run together with what we have here. There's a school in Maryland that's already been smacked down by the Supreme Court with the way they were doing things. But yeah, the same Maryland school that was smacked down by the Supreme Court for exposing children to sexually explicit material is still forcing children as young as 12 to decipher numerous gender ideology terms in a vocabulary lesson without parental knowledge, permission, or the ability to opt out. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I went to school, we had a vocabulary book. And each week there were, I think it was probably about 20 words. There were 20 words with the spellings and the definitions. And you had, I don't know, 4 or 5 work pages that went along with it for the week. And then at the end of the week, you had your vocabulary test where you're spelling the words, you're matching definitions with it, that sort of thing. Well, those are all to give you definitions of words you didn't know, to expand your vocabulary, hence vocabulary test. But when you get down here and read, let me see, where was it? Yeah, right down here. Gender identity, according to the definitions provided, refers to a person's internal sense of being male, female, or transgender. And how do you feel, girl, boy, or neither? So they're giving them definitions. It also maintains that sex is assigned at birth instead of being immutable, and goes on to say it can be changed because transgender is when your gender identity is different than what doctors assigned you when you were born. And the thing is, this 7th grade vocabulary assignment giving the week of October 13th was part of a family life lesson in which students were told to define sex assigned at birth, gender identity, transgender, gender expression, and cisgender. The worksheet appears to be a district-wide lesson, as the stamp at the bottom states, Middle School Health Education, MCPS 2023. So this has been going on for 2 years. They've been assigning this. So this is what Freedom says. No wonder test scores are tanking. They're spending time on ridiculous classes. And you're absolutely right. That's exactly what this is. It says the definitions used came from either the American Psychological Association, or APA, or a program called Welcoming Schools, which is run by the Human Rights Campaign Foundation, which is an arm of the country's biggest gay and transgender lobby. And that's what they're teaching in the schools, which bounces right over here and dovetails perfectly into this other story here. This Maine school board member claims parents who want to ban boys from girls' sports have pedophilic tendencies. And you guys remember what we've always said? It's like, watch what the Democrats and watch what the left are accusing you of, because is 9 times out of 10, it comes back around that's what they're doing themselves. And don't mean anything by it, but I can almost guarantee you the key fob that is in this lady's pocket is for a Subaru Forester. The plaid, the haircut, the mean mugging look. It's a Subaru, guys. I'm telling you. So in the school board, this is during a school board meeting, okay? She's a school board member who's supposed to be there and be listening to the public. Well, she's going to stand up and give the public her opinion as if anyone gives a shit. So she spoke up at the meeting saying that critics of allowing boys to play in girls' sports have an obsession with the private parts in between students' legs. She said that parents who have creepy obsessions about the issue are not the majority opinion. And we get down here. She added in her comments that the parents are a group who has made hate their only hobby and made the board listen to speeches on the topic. For shame, their obsession with genitalia points to not caring for the students in this district, but perhaps toward an underlying guilt for their own pedophilic tendencies. There's a registry for that. But then she goes down here to say, after there was blowback from this, she says, I regret the undue and undeserved backlash other members of the school board or the town staff have felt over my comments as an individual. No, sweetheart, you got up as a member of the school board in the school board meeting and made those statements. You didn't give those as an individual. You gave those as a member of the school board. And as I said, watch what they accuse you of, because nowhere have I ever heard, well, boys don't need to be playing girls' sports because they could be running around and accidentally hit them in the head with their dong and cause an injury. No, that's never been the thing. Nobody's talking about what's between the legs. We're talking about the physiological difference in the body makeup, the thicker bones, the stronger ligaments, the muscle mass, the lung capacity. That's what we're talking about. And the fact that this ignorant lady, or I'm not going to say ignorant because she probably knows what it is, but this is the new, you're a racist, you're a Nazi, you're a whatever because you don't agree with us. Now you're a pedophile. It's name calling, it's shaming to shut you up because you don't agree with what with their point of view. And the thing is, that's what people that are bringing this up are saying. Look at the swimming thing, Riley Gaines, in the swimming. The guy that beat her was ranked 400 and something in men's, comes over to the women's, and I think in that one he actually tied Riley Gaines, but they gave him the trophy, and he was at 6'3", 6'4", with this long ass orangutan wingspan, standing next to I don't know how tall Riley is, 5'6" girl who he managed to tie, and he's the fucking hero. No, it's not. It's the fact that even because of these physiological differences, I'm using the term mediocre in relation to the people that he's competing against as a male. He's a mediocre swimmer compared to other college swimmers. He was ranked 400 and something. So by definition, mediocre. Better than me? Absolutely. But his peers, not so much. But he rolls over to the women's side and, NCAA champion. But she seems to think we're worried about, people being struck with dongs in a tragic incident. But it's just that's what we deal with. That's what we deal with. Troy, a female with a built-in towel hanger. Yeah, you got me with the typo, Troy. But yeah, that's what we're looking at here. But like I said, just they started with racist, well, probably misogynist, and then racist, and then Nazi, and now it's pedophile. They continue to go down the list of naughty names that it really, it used to be, damn near fighting words to be accused of being a racist because of everything that entailed, and now it's like, yeah, whatever. It's completely lost anything. But that is it. That is all the way to the end of the line with the stories. We made it to the end at an hour and 7 minutes. We did good. I only went off on one tangent, and Matt wasn't here, so I don't have him to blame for it. I think we did good. I'm going to tell Matt it was a phenomenal show. He missed out. But I appreciate you guys, Freedom and Troy, for participating in the chat. Thank you very much. Everyone that just was sitting back and taking it in, we appreciate it. Thank you for the views. Share the show with folks. Let them know about it. We're here every week with the occasional miss, but we definitely appreciate all the support. Thank you guys. Those of you that contribute financially to the show, we absolutely helps keep it chugging along. But Matt will be back next week. We'll have him on. He'll probably be in his cave. We'll have Dark Matt back in the Bat Cave. But appreciate everyone. If you catch it tomorrow after it's live, hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you guys next Tuesday. Thanks.